Hey, super awesome listeners, it's Matt Sidholm, and I'm excited to share some news. For the next 2 weeks, we are bringing you exclusive content featuring Special Olympics Texas athletes, coaches, executives, sponsors, and volunteers. In addition to the special content and amazing stories, we will also be offering you, our listeners, the opportunity to get involved. So please join us the weeks of February 13th and 20th on Super Awesome Mix, What Are You Listening To?, and Super Awesome U to celebrate Special Olympics Texas State Winter Games and learn how you can participate. The SOTX Winter Games are taking place February 17th through 19th in Lakeway and Bee Cave, Texas, just outside of Austin in the beautiful Texas Hill Country. For more information and to learn how you can get involved, you can visit www.sotx.org/winter-games. SOTX Winter Games 2023 are made possible by generous support from our sponsors, Toyota, Dick's Sporting Goods, Driscoll Health Plan, Hill Country Galleria, Lakeway Police Foundation, Hill Country Indoor Sports and Fitness, Big Dog Pyro, and Citizens Police Academy.
Welcome to the Super Awesome You. Coming to you on the Super Awesome Mix podcast network, I'm your host, Samar Abu-Selby, and each week we'll be exploring the topic of motivation, and of course be adding one song to our motivational mixtape week after week. You'll find links in the show notes for the playlist, and you can also follow us at Super Awesome Mix for more of our shows and content. This week we'll be covering the topic of working to become an expert at something. I'm actually going to begin this week's episode with the Song of the Week. Normally I do it at the end. And the Song of the Week is 10,000 Hours by Macklemore and Ryan Lewis. 10,000 Hours, of course, is, the song based on the popularized idea by Malcolm Gladwell that it takes about 10,000 hours of putting in work towards something to become an expert at it. I think later I read articles that kind of debunked this, and maybe he just kind of picked like a large number and there's not like a whole lot of science behind it. But ignoring that, first, I want to talk about how much I love this song because I love Macklemore. On our Super Awesome Mix show, where we make mixtapes every single week, Matt and I always love when a Macklemore song pops up on a mixtape of ours because we kind of we remember how much we love Macklemore and his music. He's got a lot of talent and his lyrics are really powerful, and the song is no exception. The second verse is really the one that I love, where he begins saying, "Now, now, now, this is my world, this is my arena. The TV told me something different, I didn't believe it." And I love that sentiment because often when we are pursuing something, we're going to be surrounded by people, and sometimes those people are ourselves, that are naysayers. We covered a lot in earlier episodes about how often our own brains stand in our way. We set a goal and immediately there's a negative voice that is like, you can't do that. Why are you even bothering? And how we need to learn to kind of be kind to ourselves and step out of our own way. But also there are outsiders who are going to challenge you and are going to doubt that you can do something. And that can either be really crushing, which if you're me, it's often very crushing, or you can find a way to make that really motivating. Because I find sometimes there's nothing more motivating than someone who doesn't believe in you. Because it's a great feeling when you do it anyway, and you know that someone out there didn't think you could. So whatever the case is for your, motivation, I think we can all agree that every now and then it's kind of nice to be like, haha, you didn't think I could, and here I am, I did it. But the focus on this episode is really that 10,000 hours number. I've been thinking a lot about time recently and how sometimes it can feel simultaneously long, it can feel simultaneously short. This last couple of years, especially after the pandemic, have felt both at the same time. I can't believe how long some days drag, but then I look and seasons are going by and years are going by, and it just happens so fast. Time is how we experience our life, and how we choose to spend our time is really who we become. It's what we are doing in those moments where we have a choice. And I think a lot about this, especially when I'm running. I talk about running a lot because it's a goal that's really important to me. It's something that, I love spending my time during the week. Every time I'm out there in a run or in a race, I feel so alive. And I think it's because it does force you to be more present. I'm not distracted when I'm out there. At most, I'm listening to music. I'm often not, though. And it's just my breathing and my feet on the ground and, being outside and being surrounded by all the activity. It's really empowering. But I can safely say that without fail, every single time I've started a run, the first 5 to 10 minutes of that run, my brain is like, why am I running right now? I don't want to be running right now. This was a terrible idea. I am like cold, especially because I've been starting, it's wintertime. I want to be back home where it's warm. I want to be on the couch. Like, this is so much work. And then, of course, every single time when I finish a run, I'm so thrilled that I went on that run. And I'm so happy with myself that I got out of my own way and I started the run. And I spent that time, 40 to 60, sometimes 90 minutes outside exercising and doing something for myself. And that's how I chose to spend that time. And I never regret it. What's been really, really magical and what I think running is so powerful at is you can measure yourself very easily. It's one of these goals that truly you can measure yourself. And I think that is so important. Whenever we pursue something, you want to know that you're making progress. And so every single race, I'm getting a little bit faster and I'm getting these PRs and I'm getting better times and I'm feeling stronger as I'm out there. I don't get as tired those first couple of miles. And that's so empowering. But still, with all of that, I'm spending those first several minutes wondering, why am I out there and why am I spending my time this way? So there's a quote out there, and I can't remember who it's attributed to. My mind is telling me that it's attributed to James Clear, the author of the book Atomic Habits. If it's not, I apologize. Either way, that's an amazing book, and you absolutely should check it out because there's a lot of really good research in there. But this might have been something I just read somewhere, and it just gets passed around on the internet and is maybe misattributed to a whole bunch of different people. All that aside, the quote is doing what you want versus doing what you enjoy. And I always bring that up whenever I'm faced with a decision about how I want to spend my time. There are a lot of things I want to do, but when I'm done doing them, I don't actually think I enjoyed them all that much. So for example, I spend way too much time watching like Netflix and HBO. I recently got sucked into watching The Last of Us, which is a really good show, but the hour that, that I spend, I often finish it being like, did I actually enjoy that? Or am I just watching it because of FOMO? Like, I kind of feel like if I'm not watching it, I'm missing out because so many people are talking about it. It's a great show, really well acted. It's so powerful, but it's really not what I want right now. And so I'm not enjoying it. It's like, I think I feel like I want to do it, but I'm actually not enjoying it. So even just more generally, there'll be a time where I will sit down and decide I'm going to watch TV and an hour goes by, sometimes two, even more. And at the end of it, I don't feel like, I felt like I wanted to do that, but I'm not enjoying myself at the end of it. And I just regret that instead I could have spent some time working on Super Awesome Mix or maybe writing a blog post for about one of our podcast episodes or reading or journaling or going back outside or prepping for dinner. There's so many other things that at the time I didn't want to do because it just sounded like work, but had I done them, I know that I would have enjoyed them and I would not have been filled with this kind of sense of regret. I think of activities almost like junk food sometimes. There are like junk activities. You do them, they kind of like supposedly fill you up, but in the end you just still feel kind of empty and hungry for like something real. And I think a lot of my time, unfortunately, has been spent on kind of junk activities and not like the real nutritious activities. So every single time I'm faced with that decision of, do I want to go for a run right now? I always check in with myself. How do I feel at the end of a run versus not how am I feeling right now? And I project myself into the future just a little bit. Because as we talked about on a previous episode, our brains are really good at projecting and generating these like future images. And when we live in those moments, that they feel very real to us because we don't know the difference between kind of a dream world in our brain versus a real world outside. And so when I close my eyes and think about how I feel every single time I finish a run, I imagine I'm physically tired. I feel very accomplished. I'm excited to take a shower. Showers after exercising are so rewarding. And I think through all those feelings and how I'm going to walk through the rest of my day being like, oh, I'm so proud of myself for running. I feel great. My Apple Watch rings will close and all these like really rewarding things come with that. And I'm picturing all of that in my mind. And I think, yes, exactly. I definitely want to go for a run because that sounds awesome. And when I'm on my run, any single time I'm doubting my decision, I again just miniaturize that projection of like, I'm going to feel so good when this is over and I'm already out here doing it. So I might as well finish. I think that's how you get to that 10,000 hour mark. You constantly have to remind yourself, what is this for? Why am I doing this? What am I getting out of doing this? What is the thing that I'm what is the joy I'm pulling from this work? Checking in with myself constantly on the joy that happens when I go for a run, or when I put in time towards Super Awesome Mix, or when I'm spending time with friends and family instead of watching Netflix shows on end. Checking in on that makes me realize that those are the things that truly bring me joy. I might not think that I want them in that moment, but I always enjoy them afterwards. Since we already covered the song of the week, again, that was 10,000 Hours by Macklemore, I will just leave you here, and until next time, stay super awesome, because you already are.